I wanted to make this recommendation list because it's a vibe. It's not a subgenre to be exact. It's 10 rural Chinese kind of art house movies that I wanted to recommend. The sort of criteria would be movies that takes place in like a village or in the middle of nowhere, or if it is a small city in China, it's like on the edge of the Industrial Revolution. So this is something that can be searched up, but I wanted to recommend 10 films. So the first one is A Touch of Sin by Jia Zhangke. This is a anthology movie art house about different people sort of getting involved in small crimes. So the beginning of the film is a guy on a motorcycle shooting people trying to rob him. And then we're also focusing on a woman who murdered someone at a spa and a few others that are just trying to get by. And each of them are touched by a small form of crime that they're hiding from. It's a little bit long. It's like an epic film of a little over 2 hours, but it's really interesting seeing all these different types and different areas of China that you wouldn't normally see, like rural villages or like busy industrial places, nightlife, things like that. It's a really interesting film. I think it was the first film I watched from this director too, so once I watched this one, I'm like, I gotta check out more. Beijing Bicycle is one that I watched really recently. This is a really good one about a young man who saves up for a bicycle. However, it's stolen and it ruins him. However, he made like a mark on it because he was paranoid, and he finds the bike, but another boy bought it from like a thief or a market that stole the original bike. So he's trying to get it back because it's the only thing that he needs for a job, and it's like the only possession he has. It's kind of like a really heartbreaking, simple story of like different classes, because he's very poor and he needs the bike in order for his job as a bike courier, and he gets to keep the bike after working for a certain amount of time. However, the other guy who buys the bike from the thieves, he's just doing it for status. Because, you know, he's got like a little bike group gang, so it ends up being like a struggle between the two of them. He keeps trying to get it back. It's a really simple, solid tale, very in the same vein as like Bicycle Thieves from the Italian film, or other movies that involve like stealing or small towns. It's definitely a very interesting film. I gave this one like a 10 out of 10 because it was really good. The next one is Not One Less. This is a movie directed by Zhang Yimou. It's one of his lesser known films, but it's about a girl who's tasked with babysitting a class. However, she won't get her bonus if one of the kids doesn't show up, and one of them doesn't show up. So she takes her entire class to the city to go find him, and they have to do small little tasks in order to build up enough money to ride to the big city to find out where he is. You find out what happens to that little boy and why she's after him so badly. This is a very simple, weird little film, but it's like really precocious because our main character is young, but she's barely older than the kids she's taking care of. But it really showcases small town little optics as well. Like she's going from the sort of school all the way to the big city to find him, and she's doing way too much because she wants that bonus, because it's part of the rules. It's a very interesting little film. It'll probably get a Blu-ray release, but right now it's only has a spare DVD release that I usually get from the library, but it's a really nice underground gem. Blind Shaft is a movie about two miners who grab a third one, and they want to lapse and kill him in an accident so they can pretend that they're related to him to collect reward money. So it's a very dark themed film. It really showcases what coal mining towns are like, and this small industry in rural China where they have the mining colonies, the mining towns, what they do for work, how dangerous it is. It's a very, very indie movie. There's even a little fun trip to the whorehouse because they feel guilty about trying to take him out, so they want him to lose his virginity first. So there's a lot of little weird little aspects of this film. It's definitely short and simple, but it's also weird and very unique to that country, so that's why it's on the list. In a spiritual sequel to Blind Shaft is Blind Mountain, a very harrowing and more dangerous movie. This is about a young woman who thinks she's getting a job at a pharmaceutical company. So they send her to the mountains to do something. However, it turns out to be fake, and she is grabbed as a bride for the local men. So one of them forces her and kidnaps her basically against her will, and they want to get her pregnant and force her to stay. and every time she tries to escape, they beat her up, and it's a really child bride kidnapping thing. It's very real, but it's also very harrowing. This is one of those movies that's like will infuriate you. It's really almost like a rage bait kind of movie, because this stuff does happen, but it just goes to show like how easily you can cut off someone and how you can kidnap them and take away their support system. And they view it as not a wrong thing to do because they need to get wives for their men in this village. So it's a really interesting film. There is another one, another film in this informal trilogy. I think it's called Blind Way, but I didn't like that one, so it's not on the list. To Live is a very simple movie. This is about communism and how it's awful, but it's mainly about one family suffering through all of it. I don't remember too many of the plot details, but the family does go through a lot of hardship because of the way the communists run things. But one really memorable scene is when the young man of the family, the oldest, his deaf younger sister's being picked on by the other kids. So at dinner time, he comes up with a way to get back at the main bully, and it's really funny. But overall, this is still a tragic film, a really good cast, but definitely underrated. I don't think it's underrated. It's pretty highly regarded as an art house film, but it's definitely worthy of the list. The Breaking Ice is a newer one that I've seen. This one's about Hao Feng. He's a man who's probably wants to take his own life. However, he goes through the border, Chile border, and falls for Nana. She's like a tour guide who's very cheerful, but she can sense there's something off with him, so she invites him to hang out, and they bond with another guy too. And it's not quite the romance movie, but it's more of a connection movie. It's a wholesome kind of movie about friendship and the bonds of strangers, because they sleep in the same bed together, and they drink together, they eat together, they sort of create this sort of bond. And it's a really different kind of movie. It's a friendship movie, but I really like this one. It's definitely simple in its execution, but a really unique environment of that sort of little town. And yeah, it's definitely one of the more interesting art house films. Shower is a lesser known movie. This one was recommended by a friend from film school. I never heard of the film before. It's from 1999. I was able to catch it on television, actually. I'm gonna look up the plot real quick. So after a Wikipedia thing, it's about a man who comes back to his hometown. His father and his mentally challenged brother have trouble running a bathhouse. So his coming back sort of brings back old wounds, and it's like a heartwarming drama comedy film. I remember it being really good, especially the finale. There's like a guy who can't sing, and he has to use the shower. But overall, yeah, this is another one of those little hidden gems, lesser known film. I wouldn't have found it if I didn't have a friend who told me about it. But overall, it's worthy. Old Stone is another one of those infuriating movies, but it's one of those movies that's really specific and unique to China. There's a rule in China where if you cause an accident, you're responsible for that person's hospital bills. So now he's got to pay money to this man that he doesn't know. However, when he follows that man, the man seems to be faking it to get extra money. So he's trying to prove it, but he can't. And then it ends up being more of a thriller because he's trying to find a way to maybe kill this guy so he doesn't have to pay him anymore. And then it's a very darkly comedic ending. But this movie is definitely one of those movies that goes places. It's one of those lesser known films that shows the fallacies of the way another country runs things. You can easily scam people. And I think I saw a funny video of a man, he doesn't know he's on dash cam, but he runs at a car and just flops in front of the car to make it look like he got injured, but the dash cam captures that he's trying to scam. So it's a thing that's common in China because of the way the bills work and the judgment and everything. And this movie is a very dark look at that. So it's a worthy entry. The last movie on the list is a newer one. It was banned in China for a while. It might still be banned. It's called Return to Dust. It's about an old man who refuses to follow the sort of gentrification process and take money to move into the city. He'd rather live in the country, so he marries an older woman like him. They're both old, but the two of them like each other a lot, and they make things work. And it's just basically about the two of them bonding, and it's a very simple, quiet movie. I don't know why it was banned in China. Maybe because the movie was trying to take a stance against the industrial generalization of making people move out. It's like the old ways are over. No more villages, take money, get a condo in the city. That's kind of like what they want everyone to do. And this movie's critical of that, so that's probably why it's seen as drastic or something to be blocked, I guess, by the government. But Return to Dust is a very simple romance sort of movie drama. It's a egalitarian tale of just farmers trying to make it work on their own, despite society telling them to move to the city in a condo. And that rounds out the list of my 10 rural Chinese art house movie recommendations.